And welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. How you doing?
Oh, sorry. That's already my internet cutting out. I apologize. I wasn't sure if that was me. Yeah, today we're just talking about...
No worries.
Yeah, sorry. I'm having internet issues by the beach in Los Angeles. What else would I expect? Yeah, today I just want to talk about like top 3 ACC players that we think will be talked about throughout the season. Some are underrated, some are properly rated, and I think some are just ones that we specifically think because we follow college football like the sickos that we are. But I think I'll start with my most obvious choice, and then Ghost, how about you give us your most obvious choice, and we'll go in that order.
Yeah, I love that. That's perfect.
Okay, perfect.
For me.
For me, I think, like I said, this is my most obvious choice, Haynes King, the quarterback at Georgia Tech. The reason why I think he deserves to be talked about, he is kind of being talked about. I think overall, as total, Georgia Tech is not being talked about enough. I think they're severely underrated. But Haynes King transferring to Georgia Tech was one of the best things I think that ever happened for Georgia Tech. He is one of only 4 quarterbacks since 2000 in the ACC who's thrown for over 2,000 yards, rushed for over 700, and been responsible for like 30 touchdowns total, joining company like Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson. He's incredible. I think his biggest strength going into the 2025 season is that in 2023, he was responsible for 16 interceptions. In 2024, he lowered that number from 16 to 2, which is like a phenomenal improvement. So I can imagine that in 2025, he'll only be somewhere around, I'm assuming somewhere between the 2, just because 2 is so low that I don't see it going lower than that. It's just going to happen. I think the hardest part for Haynes King is going to be staying healthy. He had an injury in 2024. He was out for a couple of games and then ended up playing the last 2 not fully healthy. So as long as he stays healthy, I think he's good to go. I think he's also on the right momentum just because of the way that they ended their season last year against Georgia. That was such amazing, heartbreaking for me because I love the ACC game. But I think the way that he played his heart out in that game really showed a lot. It will also be his 3rd season under his offensive coordinator, Buster Faulkner. And so just that time together and the talent that he's surrounded with, his running back, Jamal Haynes, and one of his receivers, Malik Rutherford, I think that combination will just be a threat. So that's my number 1, who, like I said, I think is the most obvious. What do you have for us?
Well, let me comment on Haynes King real quick. Anybody that leaves Texas A&M University is good in my book. And so when Haynes again transferred to Georgia Tech, it's not only a great thing for Georgia Tech, but obviously, as you mentioned, a thing for Haynes King. You referenced the when you go from 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, at A&M, and a lot of people kind of giving up on you as a passer. And he gets to Georgia Tech, and then, as you mentioned last year, the 14-2 didn't have quite the amount of touchdowns he had the year before. But the thing they didn't have to use Haynes King quite as much, and he did start a couple less games. But I love that pick. Now, one question I have about Haynes for you is, obviously, he's a good player. So when we're talking a breakout, like, what do you think the ceiling is for Haynes King?
I think they're ACC title contenders.
You think he can be the player of the year in the ACC?
There's a lot of good individual players. I don't know if he is player of the year. I think it's hard to say that there's somebody better than Klubnik right now preseason.
Right.
But I think he's top 3. I think he's top 3 because I could think of some other defensive players, and we'll get to that a different day, but that would also be in that conversation. But I think he's top 3, to be honest. And I think their offensive line was good last year going up against the Georgia D. And so I think they'll be just as good this year. So I think there's potential there for sure.
No, I like it a lot. I'm again, a big fan of Haynes King, fellow East Texas guy. But all right, my first one that I'll give you, is a new quarterback in the conference, and that's Mr. Darian Mensah. I think it's going to be really, really good for Duke, and that a lot of people are talking about him, yes, but I truly do think he breaks out. A lot of people look at a Duke offense, even when they had Riley Leonard, and they respected the offense. They were never like lighting it up on the scoreboard. And I just think from an athletic standpoint, Duke is in a much different place than they were a couple of years ago in the skill positions. And then they have a really dang good defense. So I think we're going to see a lot of, Darian Mensah and not necessarily always in a short field, not calling Duke to lead the nation in turnovers, taking or takeaways on the defensive side or anything. But I think the defense will be really good and help put them in favorable spots. And again, he just looks a lot different than your average Duke quarterback. You go back to what he did at Tulane, and obviously he's just 1 year, but a 22-6 touchdown to interception ratio. I mean, that's really, really strong, and he was coached really, 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 really well in Tulane. Coach Summerall knows ball, and I mean, he put him in good spots to succeed. Obviously, he can use his legs and do big things there. So I'm a big fan. Savannah, what do you think about the newcomer, Darian Mensah, and what are your expectations for him?
Yeah, I kind of agree with everything that you said in terms of expectations for Duke. I think Manny Diaz was a great hire there. I think that they're in a much better spot this year than they were last year. I think getting him from Tulane was a great get from the portal. I agree. I don't think that the offense is going to do anything phenomenal. Manny Diaz is a defensive guy, but I think because of that, they will put them in situations that help the offense work to that advantage that their defense is better. So whether that's like big gains on special teams or huge third down stops within the other team's opposing team's 20-yard line, whatever that is, I think that Manny Diaz defense puts the Duke offense in the right positions to win games. But I think that's a great pick. That's a great pick. He was a candidate for one of my picks for sure.
I'm just so excited to see the kid play. Big fan, and I don't know why, but I like Tulane football and I like Duke football a little more than the average program. And so definitely be rooting for the guy. But yeah, you got number 2 for us.
Yes, I think this is my most underrated pick, and that's probably just because, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Tell me where you are, Boston College fans, but I don't see a ton of them. And this is a wide receiver at Boston College, Lewis Bond. He's kind of flown under the radar, but he's been pretty good. If you just look at his stats, he's like 6 overall ever in Boston College history in terms of total receptions, I believe it is, in a single season, 67. Tied for 6th of all time. He has a great trio core of receivers that are other options at Boston College, but he's really the one that's like the leader of that pack. They got a good player in the transfer portal as a wide receiver as well. VJ Wilkins, I believe is his name. Their offense coordinator, Bill O'Brien, he has a balanced attack, balanced game plan in terms of like run pass ratio. So I think it sets up Lewis for a really good season to just be a threat downfield option to catch the ball. And I don't have like a ton of proof other than I just think he'll be great. And I think he's flying under the radar. He wasn't on any preseason ranking lists, and he's just been a really strong go-to guy at Boston College for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, really consistent these last 2 seasons, putting up over 50 catches both years, or north of 600 yards. Only 3 touchdowns last year. Do you think he gets in the end zone a few more times this year? I mean, 7 touchdowns the year before, strong.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He gets in the end zone more. Like I said, he's kind of the leader of that wide receiver core that they have. And so I think that sets him up for the opportunity to have much more catches in the end zone.
I love it. I'm a big fan of it. When we talked about this, I really didn't expect to see a Boston College player. And then the more I looked into it, it's like, yeah, this is Mr. Reliable for them. And there's no reason that you can't have a, kind of a breakout campaign here. My second one is going to be another newcomer at quarterback, and that's going to be Miller Moss. I trust any quarterback that Jeff Brom trusts offense. He's got great offensive weapons there with the running game's really, really strong. But then also you got Chris Bell, you got Colin tandem in the ACC, might be the top wide receiver tandem outside of Clemson. But yeah, I have a really strong running game there. I think the offensive line's, they have a lot of swing guys that have played multiple positions and have been all over the field. And so as long as they can figure that out, I think that offensive line legitimately goes about 7 or 8 deep. That'll be, quality player in the ACC. And as long as that offensive line, they figure out the right combination, I think that Louisville offense is going to be pretty dang lethal. Big fan of Miller Moss and what he did at USC. I know he didn't really shine the way that a lot of Trojans, thought he would. But again, you look at USC and nobody's really reaching expectations over there. So I think it's good. Really good pairing, Miller Moss, Jeff Brom. What are your thoughts on the new Cardinal and former Trojan?
Yeah, for sure. I think that Miller Moss going to Louisville was the right choice for him personally. I don't think that USC was the best fit for him. And I do agree. Jeff Brom, I said this the other got clipped somewhere. I think he's the perfect hire for Louisville. I think his first year last year that he got a little bit lucky, but I think he's really put the pieces together this year to actually not be lucky and have a chance at the title. I'm superstitious, so I won't say who I think will be in the title game, but I think that Louisville with Moss and the wide receiver core, if their offense line can get it together, are definitely contenders to be in it. So totally agree with you on that. Lastly, I couldn't talk about offensive threats without throwing in an offensive lineman there. That's just who I am. So I decided to pick I had to pick the best offensive lineman. Genuinely think that he is the best offensive lineman in the ACC. I'd probably put him at the number 2 in the country in terms of draft pick for a tackle, and that is Francis Mauigoa. He is a tackle at Miami. Not only is he the perfect size, 6'6", 315, what better could you ask for? He's actually from Samoa, but he is a Florida native in the sense that he went to IMG, so he stayed home. He played as a true freshman at Miami. He has a great surrounding offensive line core. They have he's not a first year, but it's his first year being the center at Miami, James Brocknermeyer. But around him, he's surrounded by greatness. He also has one of the best offensive line coaches. And not only that, his head coach is also an O-line guy. And so he again is being taught by some of the best who've ever done it. And so I don't think that you can, I think Miami has the best O-line. Absolutely.
In the ACC, absolutely. Yeah, I fully agree. I expect him. It's Mario Cristobal. I mean, if anything about his teams that I'm going to trust, is that you're going to have at least at minimum a competent offensive line. Talk to Matt for a minute. What are your thoughts on Samuel Davidson at Syracuse? Do you think he can give the Vols any trouble?
I think that the Vols might be in trouble. I say that as my dad played them last season, but and that went interestingly. I think that the Syracuse offense is extremely explosive. One of my favorite matchups that I'm most excited for this fall is Syracuse at Georgia Tech, just to see those two offenses go up against each other. I think Tennessee is good. I think their defense lost a lot of talent. I don't think that they'll be as good as they were last year. I love the way that the quarterback situation turned out for Tennessee, in the sense that, I think that it put Tennessee in a better situation. I just hope it plays out that way on the field. So I'm excited for that matchup, but never count Syracuse out. They're definitely a team that will get you when you're not paying attention. And I do think that their offense will be extremely explosive this year.
It's going to be fun to watch. Yeah. Syracuse football is fun to watch, and I love that. Good for them. I know about beating Tennessee because I think Tennessee is going to be pretty some guys that can really test them. So if Tennessee hasn't figured out anything at the quarterback position and in the run game, again, we did a whole breakdown on Josh Heupel's offense a couple nights ago, and Heupel does have a lot of. I expect Tennessee to win that game, but I think it'll be a wild one. I really do. You've given us your 3. I think your 3 are great. I love the the ode to the offensive line. You had to do that. You got to throw them in. And again, I agree with you. Miami, you have to. Miami is going to have the best O-line in the ACC. Really interested to see what Carson Beck does. So he's got weapons. We'll see if he reaches expectations. Sorry, broke the no hat rule. Wife picked. She said backwards hat. So here we are. My last is not necessarily a breakout player, considering that last year he had 700 yards, he scored 5 touchdowns. But Bryant Wesco, I think, and I don't want to give, we're doing a big prediction show, but I don't think we're going to go down and go down the whole line of awards that they'll give out. And Bryant Wesco is my Bolitnikoff winner. I think Bryant Wesco goes absolutely bananas. I think he's the second best receiver in the country behind Jeremiah Smith. But due to quarterback play, better offensive situation early in the year, I expect him to get going from the jump. And now Clemson obviously has a very talented group of wide receivers. They probably have the best trio in college football. And due to that, you have to respect multiple guys on the field. You're not going to be able to just double Bryant Wesco on any single snap. And think like, okay, we're safe here. Like Clemson is going to be hell on a defensive coordinator. I wouldn't want to deal with either of their running backs. They're going to be good. And so it's, again, an issue for Clemson is, even when they were winning titles, Clemson only had an average offensive line. They truly did. And then they were pretty dang elite in the skill positions and a quarterback, Deshaun, Trevor Lawrence, you talk about all the guys they had in the skill position, the receivers they put out, and obviously running backs. They've been really, really strong there. So I think Clemson's offense is going to be really, really good. I think Bryant Wesco and Cade Klubnik are going to have for them, a breakout in their relationship, at least on the football field, and that they really go to work. Plus, I love that kid since he was in high school. I was really sad Texas didn't push a little bit more for him because I really thought he could be in the right color of orange. But here we are. Instead, we were playing against him in the playoffs, and he was terrifying me because I know what he's capable of. But what are your thoughts on Bryant Wesco?
Yeah, I said this earlier too. I don't know that I'm sold on Clemson yet as a whole. And everyone is so shocked by that. I think game 1 is going to be a real test for them, and I have a love-hate relationship with your first game being a big game. I want teams to have the opportunity to work out their kinks. And I hate when it's like you play LSU week 1, right? Because then you didn't, but then you really get put to the test, and it's like you either show up and you are that team or you're not. And so I think I keep calling it Battle of the Real Death Valley. I think Battle of the Real Death Valley, we're really going to find out what Clemson is made of. I'm much more sure on their defense than I am their offense. Quite frankly, I went to Clemson last year, watched my dad's team get their ass beat by Clemson's offense, but I still wasn't sold on their offense and Cade and their skill players. And I agree with you. Their offensive line has never been superior. They've always been just good enough. But I think I agree with what you're saying in the sense that if they were going to have a breakout season, this would be their year. Their offensive line is better than usual. And the duo and the best wide receiver core, I agree with you, in the country has a chance to really put out. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
And that's honestly just a little bit of bias showing because I love the guy. So
yeah,
I also like that you're not sold on Clemson because I feel like the majority of people are, and I normally don't ride with the majority. I don't normally fall for Joe Public and, walk to the counter and just say, oh, who's everybody else putting their money on? And that's kind of what it feels like with Clemson because so many people are riding them, and I get why. They should be really dang good. They got two great defensive ends. You have a really strong offense with a lot of experience. So I get the Clemson love, but I also understand, you drop that game to LSU in the opener. God forbid you have an injury to her here or there, and all of a sudden that ACC schedule that a lot of Clemson fans assume looks pretty, playing some one-score games. You just never know. It's college football. So let's see here by Matt. Now, I don't know if you were watching last year, Matt, when we talked. Actually, Savannah was on the show. Getting into ACC. I said there was.
I don't know if I cut out or if you cut out. Okay, I think it's just me for. Oh, he's back.
He's back. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Can you hear me? Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, we said on the show last year, that I really thought that was a huge year for Clemson, a big stepping stone year to, I didn't think they were going to win a national title, but a big chance for them with Klubnik and a chance for him to take that next step. I think he did that. And so, Yeah, it really is crazy. They made their way by, again, like we just talked about, elite quarterback play, great skill positions, and then elite defensive linemen. And they've got a lot of that makeup, and we'll see if they can turn that into another national title, because I mean they've been tonight's bad. I'm not sure why. We've had an internet connection throughout the neighborhood. I'll make sure it sticks though. So Anna, let's let them go before I mess up again. Unless you
No.
want to
We
keep
can
going.
end it. I will say quickly that the ACC had a down year last year. We didn't have a horrible year, but we had a down year. I think we'll be a lot better this year. But yeah, sorry, we're both having internet situations tonight. But just quickly, those are our top 3 offensive players that we think will be being talked about quite a bit this year. We'll be back probably next week or the week after talking about our defensive picks.
With better Wi-Fi or internet, all of the
Yes.
things. Thank you guys for watching. Like the video if you would.
Have a wonderful